But what has been the biggest surprise from this, that when it first came out, it's like, whoa, that completely is unexpected. Christy, why don't we start with you there?
I don't know that it's completely unexpected, but to Don's point earlier, it's the speed at which it's happening. So as an example, I was traveling the second week of March, and things were starting to get a little dicey, and we were starting to think about not traveling. And this was, some people didn't come to the event that I was at because they were concerned about it. And it was literally like, as those 3 days went by, the whole world changed. And by the time Monday rolled around, it really was a game changer. So the speed at which the market became illiquid, the speed at which we're changing product guidelines has been literally the biggest unexpected that we've had.
The speed, yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I was in the same boat. I was traveling also during that time, and I was actually in New York when March 11th, when my wife was very, very upset at me for going to begin with, and she had me wear a mask, and my colleague Alex and I were the only ones wearing a mask on the airplane. But we went for a meeting, and it's like in that 48-hour period that we went and came back, it was just like everything changed super fast. And then I didn't leave the house after that. That was like it. That was my last outing was that, and then I was forbidden from any other travel, and I was locked down. As far as biggest surprise, Don, what do you think on your end for Supreme? Kind of what was the biggest surprise from the onslaught that came?
Well, I always prepare for the end of the world because I know it's coming.
So you have a bunker and you have the guns and you have all that ready to go.
Yeah, I am one of those guys, right?
Nice.
But honestly, from the Supreme side, the biggest shocker to me has been how well the teams have done under incredibly stressful times, right? And I think that many of us, different companies can echo that same sentiment. And Jen kind of mentioned before, here we've got not just a remote workforce, and for some of them, maybe their first time working remote, but we've got their spouses are also at home, their kids are also at home, maybe their older kids have moved back in with them, right? And so it's like the home is no longer the refuge, the home is like this chaotic nature. And yet here we have had record months, record volume under the most stressful times. And I could not be more proud of the teams for doing so. That's actually, I hate to say, not a surprise, but kind of shocking how well the teams have done during this time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, I'm proud and impressed by the speed at which they were able to adapt to that, and really, like Christy, I was traveling, March 9th through the 11th, and I came back and my flight back was half, if not 2/3 empty. And I thought, well, this doesn't bode well. And then by Monday, we're basically evacuating the building. I'm going in to make sure everybody's getting their monitors and things to take home, to prepare to work from home. And, within that week, people were just clipping right along like nothing had changed, and I think everybody was able to really, be understanding and empathetic to dogs, cats, children, screaming spouses in the background, and so I think
screaming spouses.
Well,
what are you doing to your husband, Jen?
No, he doesn't. But, yeah, it's not me.
Hence why I'm in the office. So
right. Well, you're lucky, Don. No, but I think that there's what's surprising about it. From a company standpoint, we were already very much a culture of link arms and get things done. But this really, I think, has put that to the test, and we've come out really on the right side of that, of people saying, yes, they're very understanding of some craziness going on. We're all in the same boat, and just being very understanding.
I think you also partially answered the next question, which was going to be what you thought you were best prepared for and the least prepared for. But I'll if there's anything else to add from that standpoint, is there anything, what would you add to that, Christy, if when you think about the least prepared or the most prepared for? It kind of ties into the first one a little bit.
I think that I live in Savannah, Georgia, where we have hurricanes and flooding and all those kinds of things. And everybody here, the majority of businesses have disaster preparedness plans. And obviously, as a large organization, Flagstar had one. And it was a great test. We did that kind of midweek of March, we did a test of sending people home to say, okay, what happens if disaster occurs? And our people were so amazing at that, and our systems were amazing, and the plan worked well. And as Jen said and Don said, it's not that we were surprised that our people did well, but it was just heartwarming and touching and a proud moment that everybody came together like they did. And that was the thing that made us most excited, is that the plan worked. And then, by the way, we were testing it on Friday and implementing it on Monday, right? I mean, that's how, again, back to that speed thing, this is how fast things are going.
Maybe we're all just really good at these things, and just like, hey, we've kind of been underperforming. Like we're actually better than we thought we were. We can do things a lot faster and a lot better.
I think it comes down to your previous analogy of 2008, right? We went through that, call it 3-year cycle, completely rethinking and relearning how to get things done. All the logic that we came up with and worked through back then works exactly the same way today. And so I think that that's what allows us to act and react at the speed that we can do it today. Because I hate to say it, we have experience in disaster, right? And so all we're doing is implementing all the things we learned 10 years ago or 12 years ago, re-implementing those same things, only now we're doing it immediately instead of over weeks and months. We're doing it in matters of hours.
Yeah.
I think, Don, the one thing that we were not prepared for, and I don't want to speak for everybody else. I got fur in my eye here from the animals in the house, but we were not prepared for just the global scale of this. I think the difference between 2008 was, it was limited to one industry. Now it's every industry for the whole world. And so if I think about, we needed to quickly get employees who typically would not have laptops so that they could work from home. Well, there was a shortage across the whole country. You couldn't even go into Best Buy or Costco to get laptops. Like, they were just not there, And so that's where I think like the real thing that we were not prepared for was, wow, we sort of saw it coming, because, and all credit to our IT department. They've been sounding the alarms for a while, saying, guys, when COVID hit China, they're like, we are not able to get laptops. So we've got the supply, we're getting some more, but be judicious. But then, when it was like very quickly, again, to the point about the speed, it was, good grief, how do we make sure that we can redeploy what we have and have enough so that people can go home and work from home and be safe? And so there's some of those shortages that were just, what you would think to be unrelated to our industry, but very much so.
Yeah. Access or lack of access to data, how has that impacted your decision-making during this time?
It's been huge, right? And I kind of equate this very similar to the e-sign process. I feel like Chicken Little. There's going to become a day when you got to have access to data. There's going to come a day, right? Data is going to be everything. And sure enough, we wake up one day. And what we've realized is that we're suddenly asking questions and needing reporting on items that we've never even asked before. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I sat in meeting after meeting with the executive team, and they're like, okay, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And these are questions we've never actually asked ourselves before and never needed reports on before. And so if you're unprepared, if your data, call it your data hub or your data warehouse, or however you manage data, is not prepared to manage and report on things you've never even asked before, you're left in the dark, because you simply cannot start creating data elements out of thin air. Right? I mean, you need historical data, you need historical trending, you need data modeling over things that you've never actually looked at before. And so it's been another one of those moments where I just kind of say, I hate to say I told you so, right? But it's really kind of forced us to change our line of thinking about how do we start answering questions we don't even know we need the answers to. And your data has to be good enough to be able to do that, right? If not, If not, you're left in the dark because you can't report on things because you've never actually collected that data before.
Yeah. Interesting. Jen, what do you think on the data side for you guys? I know you guys have been doing a lot of, you became a bank in the past, year and a half or so?
Not even 12 months ago.
Not even 12 months. Okay. Yeah.
Not even 12 months.
I'm sure there's
almost 12.
You're basically, there's like a hierarchy of priorities that's like constant, right? There's just always very urgent, important things going on with you guys. So how would you say, are you guys have used data or a lack thereof, or kind of what has this kind of enlightened you to as far as the data needs for your enterprise?
Yeah, I mean, I think Don's spot on. Some of this stuff is just we've got this data that we've never really had a need for before, and thank goodness we had it. But in terms of quickly accessing it, synthesizing that, making something that's useful out of it. So what is it telling us? And really on the bank side too, because we have the historical data, but with having to have, as a bank, we not only have the forbearance and the PPP, but we also have some consumer deferral, programs that are coming out too. So it's being able to have all those disparate data sources consolidated and then be able to spit out something that helps executive teams make informed decisions. But it's been never more critical.
Yeah. When you guys think about some of kind of your near-term objectives, what's kind of the target? What are you trying to ensure success at near term for you guys to kind of get you through this crisis?
Well, what's been interesting is that we've always had kind of this sprint planning mentality since I've been here, that we look at what are the things that we need over the next 90 days and how does that fit into our next 3-year strategic plan. And we were coming up to that cycle right as COVID hit, right? The end of March, we were in the process of analyzing what did we do from Q1 and how did we need to shift in Q2. So it was kind of perfect timing to reevaluate what those strategic measures were. And to Jen's point earlier, we had e-close on the roadmap and we had kind of this 1-year plan that we were going to get to a full e-close across all 50 states. And now we said, all right, well, that's not a Q4, that's a Q1. And that's an easy answer, right? I mean, that's something that everybody that's watching this can easily say, yep, you got to do that. So now we're starting to look at some of those other initiatives that weren't the very top, but how are they changing? To Don and Jen's comments earlier about the data you didn't know that you needed to collect or ways that you didn't never think about it interacting, what has this process shown us, this rapid change that's held together in your organization by, duct tape, chicken wire, and bubble gum? And how do you need to fix that to be better prepared for the future? And that's where our focus is right now.
Yeah.